So, sorry about that. Welcome to this week's edition of Traveling with a Chair Live. She's Cheryl.
He's Ken.
And today we're going to talk about Ketchikan. Find my slides and stuff that I had for you. But to get started with, as always, the first thing we want to know is where are you watching from? So do us a favor in the chat. Let us know where you're joining us.
We're in North Carolina at our home beach here in our office.
Yes, not everybody has a beach in their office, but I have a tropical beach in my office. So, and you'll notice my hand doesn't fade, so that must be a real beach, right? Well, maybe not. Maybe it's just vinyl. Also, do us a favor. If you have any questions, you want to go ahead and put them in the chat. We've got a bunch of interesting things to talk about today. We do have a trivia question for you. And the first trivia question is, how wide is Ketchikan at its widest?
So we'll come back to that in a little bit.
Yes. So when you get off and when you're making decisions for Ketchikan, one of the things is there are quite a few things that are accessible. It was interesting that I did some research and I reached out to Royal Caribbean, and they actually had several different tours available that were completely accessible. So even if you can't get out of a wheelchair or off of a scooter, they have things that are accessible, including transportation. There's some things that you can do on your own. And so we'll talk about the on your own things. We'll look at ways to get around in Ketchikan, those kinds of things. Let's do the first piece of it. This would be Cheryl's favorite because she gets to look at all the hunky guys.
Yeah, I haven't been there yet.
She's drooling at the thought, though. So let me find that one.
The Great American Lumberjack Show. Seen it on TV, I think. Many a movie.
So this is one of the things that is available, and this is accessible. It's fairly close to the cruise port. Let me see. So you have some tour options, and these are there is some real competition there. It's not a staged show, but let's see. You'll notice it says handicap accessible walkers, wheelchairs, electric scooters. They supposedly have the best restrooms in Ketchikan. I was looking to see if they had the one block from the cruise ship dock. So you get off the cruise ship. If you don't have anything else booked, you can go to the Great Alaskan Lumberjack Show. So for those of you that are into athletics, there you go. There's some options for you. Pam's at work, and Triple D is from Lebanon County in Pennsylvania. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I love the horse and buggies. I'm from Maryland originally, and we would go up to Pennsylvania nearly every summer, and I just love to watch the horse and buggies.
Okay, and so like I said, Pam's at work. I'm glad you're playing hooky from doing your job and joining us. That's obviously more important. So that is one good option that is completely accessible. So I encourage you, if you're looking for something to do, take a look at it. Now you can get this as a tour from the cruise line. You can get it individually if you go to the visit-ketchikan.com website or to the Google Great American Lumberjack Show. Find it a lot of different ways. But I think that it would be interesting, at least. I think it's a one-time thing. One of the options you have for if you're really brave, you can get in the axe throwing challenge. So, and maybe it's not so much you have to be brave, but the people sitting behind you might need to be brave. The people anywhere in front of you might need to be brave.
Mine would go like 2 inches. It would go over my shoulder and down on the ground. That would be the end of it.
But anyway, so you can do that. One of the things that I thought was kind of appealed to me is you can get the Great American Lumberjack Show and a crab feast. So the show would be all right. The crab feast, I think, would be most excellent. Yeah, Pam agreed with me. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'll let you do that. Okay. So that's one of the things. Another thing that's close and easy is the Bering Sea Crab Fisherman's Tour. Let me pull up that slide. So you can, and they said that it's pretty cool in that it's about 3 hours. If you're over at Ward Cove, it's about 4 hours and 15 minutes. That's just transfer time. It is wheelchair and scooter accessible, and you get to go out on this ship. And this is a ship that was on Most Dangerous Catch show. You get to go on the ship. You get to ride. They have 2 decks with you can see they have kind of like stadium seating. So you can get underneath the heated and dry area, or you can get up on top, and on a bad day, you can get wet up there. But they do provide raincoats if you need it. And they'll go out and pull pull crab pots. You'll see eagles and some other odds and ends of things as well. So again, that one looks pretty easy. It is fairly calm water, so they say you won't have to worry about seasickness. So that's one of the other choices that's readily available there. Let's see, what else do we want to talk about? Talked about that. There we go. So here's the home of the Crab Feast. This is George Inlet, and they run the Crab Fest there. So you can get it as a tour. You can get the wilderness exploration. You can get just the Crab Feast, the Lumberjack show. So you can do any one of those things. You just have to make reservations for it. And it does include transportation from downtown. Oh, by the way, if you're on the main docks, not at Ward Cove, but on the main docks, you get off your ship. You just got a few feet, really, to get to the Aleutian Ballad, where you can get on board for the Crab Fisherman's Tour. I didn't get any answers to how wide is Ketchikan. I'll give you one more chance here really quickly. And let's go up. We got another question too, because we're doing width. Now we also want to know how long is Ketchikan. Cheryl's been busy on Google today trying to find some answers. Stump the audience. That's what we're doing. So anyway, there's some other things in the way of historical things to do. There is a Totem Heritage Center. It's about a 15-minute walk in downtown from the cruise ship dock. So it's easily something you could do. So if you want to go learn about totems, and I think that besides salmon fishing, because that's one of the things that Ketchikan is known for, but I think the other thing that's really probably their claim to fame maybe is the totems. They have quite a few things available to where you can go look at totems.
Is that the Lincoln totem there? There's a Lincoln totem. Not sure which park is that. One of the totem parks has a reproduction of a Lincoln totem of Abraham Lincoln, and the original is in another Alaska city, but the original was made in the 1800s.
And they're also close in downtown as you have the Tongass Historical Museum. So if you're a museum fan, you can go visit both of those. So those are some options if you like museums. Let's talk about Totem Bite. This is a state historical park, and it is you said the Potlatch was there?
Yes, Potlatch and that are they're like extremely close right there.
Okay, and so this is kind of cool because they have a clan house there as well. So you get a little bit of information about totems. Now, I'll show you an inexpensive way to get there, because you can get there on tours, but there is actually an inexpensive way to get there. And we'll come, actually, I might as well. Let's talk about this. So how actually, these little things you see on the map right there, those are the buses in Ketchikan. And so if we look, you can get a long ways on the bus in Ketchikan. Get all the way to Clover Pass. But if we zoom in right here, what you'll see is this is Potlatch Park and Museum and Totem Bight Historical Park. So you can actually take the bus from town to get there.
That tells you where the buses actually are, right?
Yeah.
So you can see where the buses are, if it's going to be a long wait or not. You can do something else in the meantime.
Okay. And then there's the Totem Heritage Center is right here. So again, this is there's the Great Alaskan Lumberjack Show. Trying to say, and I think the cruise docks are. Okay, so there's a Ketchikan Harbor Development. And then so there's the Lumberjack Show, and then if we go down all the way down this way a ways, there's the Saxman Tribal House. The Saxman Totem Park is down at the south end. So one's north of town, one's south of town, but you can get both of them on the same bus. One of the things that's really cool about the bus in Ketchikan is it's completely accessible. So it will kneel. It will. They have a ramp so they can get on. So you know it makes it easy if you're trying to be thrifty to go do some sightseeing. And I just got to believe that the drive is going to be really pretty. So I think that is at least one of the things that we will do while we're there, because I'd love to get some video of the drive.
Let's see if we have any guesses here. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, great. Not a scheduled stop. Oh, well, yeah. Well, maybe we'll next time. I'm sure if you go this time, you'll go to Alaska this time. You'll be going back and trying to catch the places you missed. You're going to have a great time.
Yeah, and it's interesting, Triple D, because we're on the Radiance of the Seas, but that's a southbound cruise, so we're visiting pretty much all of the ports. That is, and one of the things we'll talk about just briefly, and now that we got started on it, is that is a really good, you could say that the round trip Seattle is a really good taste of Alaska. But a northbound or a southbound cruise gives you so many more options when you want to see it. Because you can, one of the things that's really cool is you can add onto a northbound or a southbound, you can add a land package. You can do some train trips. There's just so many things to see and do in Alaska. This trip coming up will be our third Alaska trip, and we're working hard at trying to get another one for September. I'm hoping that'll work. Okay, Pam, I understand you got to go do a little work. Anyway, but Ketchikan, like I said, it's kind of interesting. One of the things, let me pop this out.
We should answer a question, I think.
Huh?
Let Pam know. But the Ketchikan at its widest is 10 blocks wide, but it's 30 miles long. So that's one long thin town.
Yeah, I was going to try to find a couple of other things that are interesting in Ketchikan. Let's do this one. Let's see. There we go. Let me share that with you.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so when you're there, this is a must-see. You have to go get your picture taken and get your picture taken with the rain gauge, because this is how much rain they get in a year, somewhere around 240 to 260 inches of rain. So you definitely need to get your picture taken with that. I'm gonna find another quick picture to show you, because this is an reasonably easy walk from the cruise ship. Oh, no, hold on. That is not what I wanted. There we go. And so this is a picture of Creek Street. Now we're going early in the year, so we won't see a lot of salmon in there. But starting in as you get closer to summer and into the fall, this creek will actually turn red with salmon spawning. There's a bunch of really cool shops along Creek Street. It is literally a boardwalk out there that you walk on. I will say this, that a lot of houses of ill repute used to be there. So there's a lot of interesting things to see and do in Ketchikan. And they even have a street named after us. It's Edmund Street. It's not far from Creek Street. So just trivia. They named it after us after we went up there one time. Well, though they must have known we were coming. They had the sign up first.
Oh, and then on Creek Street, of course, is a famous brothel that was still being used in the 1950s. And inside there's a trap door that goes down, that opens into the creek, so that if they had some bootleg liquor and they were going to get caught, they just drop it down the trap into the river.
And then they wonder why the salmon act funny up there. But anyway, so there's really quite a few things to see and do in Ketchikan. It's a lot of it is cool because you can see and do it on your own. And then there's a lot of I didn't mention it. One of the things that is easily accessible from Ketchikan is Misty Fjords National Park. Either you can do a flight seeing in there, or you can run a boat trip out to Misty Fjords to go out and get a chance to see that national park as well. Again, this is incredible scenery. It's very, like I said, it's very wet. In fact, a lot of the areas around town, and as you get out into the woods a little bit, can be what they call muskeg. And it's basically, you could think of moss and other stuff growing on top of what can be water or solid land. And so boardwalks are pretty common. We went to do a seafood fest, and we walked out on this boardwalk that went into the rainforest. And it was really cool because they actually built a boardwalk that went into this forest, and they had what was they think the largest and oldest cypress tree in Alaska. And so we went out, and you got to go out, and they had to build a boardwalk all the way around it so you could get a good chance to look at it. And it was really nice because for Cheryl in her wheelchair, she was able to go out and do that without any problem.
That took a bus trip and then a boat to get there.
Yeah, it was a bus and a boat to get there. The bus was not accessible, and the boat wasn't. And I wouldn't say the boat wasn't accessible either. You had to be able to climb a couple of steps to get into the bus. You had to be able to do a transfer with help onto the boat. But they had really steep ramps because the tide change is so high there that they literally, on one end, they had people come help us push it. On the other end, they had a little UTV that she rode on that pulled her up to the top. So, and as you get away from the downtown area, I would say the one thing that you'll find is that some of it is pretty steep. If the area just at the top of Creek Street, and if you start to climb up the hill from there, it gets pretty steep. We have not ventured very far up there. There is a lot of shopping along the waterfront. You have all the typical cruise ship related stores, like Diamonds International and Tanzanite, and all of those places. But you'll also have a lot of local and a lot of native shopping to do there as well. So you can find things that are actually made in Alaska by Alaskans.
It's very interesting to see how the houses have their sidewalks up to the houses and the steps and how steep it is. It's interesting architecture.
Yeah, and like I said, we've been there twice before. Like I said, we'll get off and we'll do some exploring. We had not taken the bus, so I'm going to definitely put the bus on my list for there. We'll have to see after that. I'll give you a last shot to answer any questions. By the way, if you want to see some other videos about Alaska, there'll be a playlist in the description. I'm also, for those of you that are going to Alaska, I'm just finishing up a video on how to do the Arrive Can app that you have to go to Canada. So you may find that useful. I just set mine up today. So I videoed that process while I was doing it.
Well, Ketchikan is one of those ports again, inside passage, where you can't get there by car. So enjoy it when you get there. It's boat, ferry, or plane to get there.
Yes.
So
yeah, there are several ports like that in Alaska. So again, not quite as long as usual tonight, but it's been nice having everybody, and we hope you found this useful and helpful. Again, as always, two things. If you got value out of this, please subscribe. And the other thing is, please hit like so YouTube will share it with other people. And we'll see everybody next week, hopefully live from Juneau. That's the plan.
bye.
Bye-bye.